Okay, everyone. Ladies Lab today, we have the pleasure of hosting Robby Donofrio, known as Robby.
Yes.
Visionary behind Gracie brand in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and MMA, right?
That's correct.
And today we're going to dive into your journey. So, first and foremost, tell us about your school. Tell us how it came about.
Wait, I have a question.
Go for it.
Yes.
Are you related to Dennis Donofrio?
Maybe.
There's so many of you, I'm
possible.
sure. I'm just curious. He was a martial artist. He's passed, unfortunately. But
I've heard someone else has asked me that before. There was another guy, Kevin Donofrio.
Yep, he went fitness for 10. I believe he's passed also.
Yeah, I heard he did.
Unfortunately. Yeah. But no, Dennis was a great guy, and he was a martial artist. So I was just curious. I should have asked you that off air, but it's kind of funny.
No, it's fine. It's possible. Maybe his family's from the same part of Italy.
Yeah.
Could be.
You know?
Yeah.
Absolutely could be.
Martial arts are in the Donofrio name.
That's a big community, man. Okay, so tell us your journey from how did you get into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, right? Your journey of why did you choose that sport? Because offhand we've spoken, you said that you were a weightlifter before, spent some time in the gym. Tell us about your past and give us a breakdown of how you got to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Okay. I don't know how far you want me to go back, but it kind of matters.
Yeah.
We got 10.
You know, I grew up in New York City. When I was about 16, my parents moved us to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you're familiar with that place. It's like Amish people, the country, you know. And I was used to the city. It wasn't.
Is that East Pennsylvania or West Pennsylvania?
It's about an hour from Philly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was there. I went to high school there. It wasn't good. Got into drugs real bad. Wrong people, you know.
Gotcha.
So joined the Air Force at 18. And then when I was in the Air Force, they stationed me in Panama City, right on the Panhandle.
Okay.
Worst place to put me. I was partying my ass off, you know, drinking. Anyway, long story short, got in trouble. Ended up doing drugs. Got caught. Had to get court-martialed.
Oh, wow.
And ended up doing 9 months in military brig. Got out. But while I was in, I got in trouble, and then I was under investigation.
Okay.
So they couldn't let me do my job. I used to build bombs and deal with ammunition. So they would make me do different jobs on the base, like mow lawns and bullshit like that. And there was this girl who was kind of doing that with me. She was getting out for a different reason. She wasn't in trouble, but she couldn't work her job. She was a blue belt in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And she was showing me. I ended up dating her a little bit, and she ended up just showing me stuff in her living room, and then I couldn't believe, because I was weightlifting at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be Mr. Olympia. Like, that was what I wanted.
Yeah, I did the same.
Yeah. Kind of thank God I didn't.
I'm with you on that one.
You know, but she was showing me some stuff. I became obsessed. I couldn't believe that a 125-pound girl could whoop my ass.
Wow. Yeah.
I couldn't get it out of my head. I was just like obsessed. And at the time, you know, I wasn't, my friends in the Air Force had to shun me because I was under investigation.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't want to be associated with that, you know? So I was kind of alone. The only person I was talking to was that girl. Her name was Laura Tinker. Maybe she'll listen. I haven't found her since.
Maybe she's listening on now.
I hope so. That'd be cool. But no, I ended up doing my time. I got out, and first thing I did was join a jiu-jitsu gym.
Okay.
And it was a real low time in my life. You know, it's interesting. One of the best days of my life was the day I got sentenced.
Okay.
I was supposed to go to jail for 5 years.
Wow.
That's what I was being told. You know, you're going for 5 years, you know, get ready. And I ended up only doing 9 months. So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It was a good day. Did my 9 months, then I got out. And then it was like,
So day of sentencing, they told you 9 months, not 5 years?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, wow. I had a great lawyer.
Yeah.
And when I got out, though, it was like, oh shit, now I have to be responsible.
Okay.
When you're in jail, as much as it sucks, it's also really easy because you don't have any responsibility. You don't have to, you're fed, you got a bed to sleep in. As long as you're not like a bitch that's going to get hurt in jail, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, so when I got out, I was like, I have all these responsibilities now. I had to live with my parents, which sucked. You know, when I went to high school, I was kicked out of high school twice.
What for?
Expelled. Well, one day I went to school drunk, and that wasn't good. And then there's one thing that happened. I got kicked out of school. Ended up talking my way back into school. Then I got back into school, and somebody threw something at a teacher, like a piece of paper. Teacher turns around, blames me, which I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I did shit like that. So he turned back around, and I took my whole backpack full of books and threw it at him.
Oh, shit.
I didn't really want to hit him with the backpack.
Yeah.
Thought it would land near him and everyone would laugh.
Yeah.
You actually hit him.
I hit him in the back of the head with it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It wasn't good. His head hit the chalkboard. I was out again. So, expelled. Ended up going to school, this other school for like 3 days, got my diploma. I was out in the military like 3 weeks later.
What age were you? So this is your last
18.
year. So you're 18. Okay.
Yeah, I was 18 when that happened and joined the military. Got kicked out of that. Went to military jail for 9 months. Got out. At this point, my parents were like, "You're a fucking loser." It's okay to curse on this, right?
Yeah, you get to go.
Yeah.
You say whatever you want.
Yeah, they were like, "You're a fucking." You know, no one believed that I could do anything at this point. I was the black sheep. You know.
Okay.
But was introduced to jiu-jitsu while I was in.
We like to talk mindset a lot, and I have a thought about, well, not a thought, but a question about like, I like we have done a lot of stuff with diving into our childhood and our backgrounds and our stories and our lives and things and traumas that are associated with where we are today, right? What would you, if you had to go back and kind of assess the behavior of yourself at that time, like what do you think contributed to that?
Moving from I grew up in New York City, and I had friends from birth. I had a girlfriend. I was happy, and being a New Yorker is a very unique thing. You know, if it was like, oh, you moved from Florida to South Carolina, no big deal,
right?
But I went from New York City to Amish country.
That's a big difference.
How old were you when you moved?
I was almost 16.
Wow. So as you say, you've had your entire, you pretty much grew up there, and now all of a sudden
everything you knew and loved got ripped out of you.
It was
interesting.
To this day, worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Wow.
As far as how it made me feel.
Yeah.
I remember the feeling of just dread and I couldn't escape it. The kids in school, you know, they heard my New York accent, which I don't have anymore, but I did. A very thick Staten Island accent, which is like, you know,
stood out.
And I mean, these kids never saw anyone from New York.
Yeah.
You know, and they kind of interpreted it as me being an asshole.
What motivated the move?
My father just wanted to move.
He just wanted out of Dodge.
Which is another thing that kind of made me pissed off, because it was like you couldn't wait a couple more years.
Right.
You know, but, you know, I've made peace
I find
with
that interesting. I came from the corporate world. I was telling you before we recorded, and in the corporate world, they had this environment of relocation. They wanted everybody to relocate, right? And for me, so I didn't necessarily move geographies a lot, but we moved house to house a good bit when I was younger, and I hated that. And then, of course, when I was in the military, I bounced around, sports bounced around. For me, though, in the corporate world, I said I wasn't going to move because I wanted my family to have roots. And every corporate guy I spoke with, every company like event, hey, can you relocate, was the first question out of their mouth. And when I would say no, or I'm very limited on my geography, they would ask me why. And I said, because I want my family to have roots. Every single one of them would say, oh, kids are resilient.
Bullshit.
And to your point, I never really would argue with them because it just wasn't the setting to do it. But what I knew is, like, I was that kid that had to bounce schools. That sucks.
Yes.
And you just, like, we didn't even talk about this, and you completely highlight, like, I think we're going to have corporate people listening to this, entrepreneurs that'll listen. And I think that's a really good message to share, that, like, kids don't bounce back from that. It's really hard for them.
Generally, trauma you carry. So in your particular case, up to the age of 16, How were you in school? No problems.
Not really. I mean, I was never scholastic. You know?
You're a kid, right?
Yeah, I never like loved school.
Sure.
But you know, I had no real behavior problems. It was fine. I loved my life there.
Yeah.
Looking back, though, I understand where my father was coming from. We lived in a 600 square foot condo.
Yeah.
And it was 6 of us.
That's
so,
hard.
like, you know, we were poor as kids. But it's funny because I have nothing but fond memories of it.
Sure.
You know, I was never starving. We always ate. We always had what we needed.
Yeah.
But we weren't wealthy. You know, we didn't have much.
Had what you needed.
I had one pair of shoes.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't bother me. I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But you know, my parents were like, they came into money later when I was a teenager, and they're like, "Let's get out of here. Let's get a big house with a lot of land in the country." And we had a 9,000 square foot home in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And ripped my family apart because I would go weeks, sometimes months, without seeing my parents.
Wow.
I was in the basement. They were on the 3rd floor. They never came down there. I had no reason to go up there.
Changed the whole dynamic of your family.
Whole dynamic.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, though, because, you know, often when we talk about trauma, specifically from kids, right? Because what a lot of adults don't know, and we've been through it because you've done a lot of work in regards to that. As you did, you found jiu-jitsu, which is you working on yourself and finding that part of yourself to move forward. And a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the bullshit you carry as an adult is from childhood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that you just never, and when you carry it over, we had my wife, and who's an NLP and hypnosis practitioner, and she was explaining what happened to you at 16. You carry that trauma, so what happens is when that trauma kicks in, if you don't deal with it, you're going to always have that reaction as a 16-year-old kid, and you can be a 40-year-old man. So, you know, in your case, it's the resilience of finding something that, in your case, you could obsess about.
Yes.
And it's from, and you're going to tell us further now, is when you found jiu-jitsu, is it sounds like it changed your life.
Absolutely changed my life. But to your point, the thing that helped me the most was learning how to forgive, learning how to let it go.
That's huge.
People are people. Learning that your parents are just people.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and if you could genuinely internalize that forgiveness, you're good. You know, which is not easy. It's not easy to do, but anyway, where were we?
You joined jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So when I got out of jail, first thing I did was start jiu-jitsu, and I had a lot of anger.
And this was in Pennsylvania.
No, I got out, and my parents had moved to Florida.
Gotcha.
So here.
Oh,
Yeah, they were in Tampa. They were in Wesley Chapel.
Nice.
I had to move in with them. I had no choice.
What year?
This was 2005.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to get a job. So I was I worked everywhere. I could not hold a job. It was like I had this anger in me.
Yeah.
That, you know, talk to me the wrong way. It comes from not dealing with my shit, you know, from my childhood. And also this general, like, people not believing in you. You know, like people just kind of like writing you off. Like, you're just a loser. You're just this. You're just that. And so anyway, I was working these jobs. I must have worked at 20 different places. You name it. I've done it. And started jiu-jitsu in 2006. And because I had to have money to do that.
Yeah.
So 2006, I'm starting jiu-jitsu, and I just fell in love with it, man. It was like a really bad point in my life, and this was a good thing.
Yeah.
And I was just so focused on it.
Yeah.
I did it all day, every day, and started doing well. I'll never forget, I started training under a guy named Rob Kahn. And Rob Kahn is like, he at the time was like a second father to me.
Okay.
You know, he actually believed in me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember I was a white belt, and he comes up to me, and this was in passing. He said, you know, one day you're going to make it to ADCC, which is like the Olympics of jiu-jitsu. And I was like, whoa. I went to the bathroom, started crying, because that was the first time anyone had ever said anything to me like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
actual belief in you.
Yeah, like you can do something. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, man.
I bet.
It was like I couldn't control myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, that sparked another fire. And
it's amazing when all it takes is one person to just say, "Hey, I believe in you. You can do this."
That's all it took, man.
It's powerful.
Started training morning, afternoon, night, and then I started winning tournaments. I started beating guys I wasn't supposed to beat. People started, and at the time I'd quit my job. I said, "Screw it." My instructor let me live in the gym.
And this is what I'm doing. I love that.
I didn't care. I just I don't care about money anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't care about anything like that. I was just, because I kind of resigned myself to being like, well, you're not going to make it in life anyway. You might as well do
what you love.
What you love.
Fair enough.
I had the means to do it. I slept on the mats, trained all day, competed every weekend, and then and my instructor would buy me lunch and dinner and shit. I didn't have anything.
That's awesome.
And then I started teaching classes and gave me a little money for that. And then people started wanting me to do one-on-one sessions with them.
Nice.
And I was like, okay. So next thing you know, I'm booked with one-on-one sessions, teaching classes, training myself, competing, making money. Still slept on the mats.
Yeah.
I was like, well, why I don't need an apartment. I was a single guy.
Yeah.
What's the point? Slept on the mats. I had no bills. Had a cell phone bill. That was it.
That was it. Nice.
Didn't have a car payment. I drove a piece of shit car that was awful. But I didn't have to go anywhere. I just trained. That's all I did. I mean, it got to the point where even my coach came to me one day and said, listen, man, I love that you train so much, but you need a break.
Yeah.
I want you to leave for a little bit and just go do something else.
Yeah.
You know what I told him? No. I said, I'm not going anywhere. And, and then I started making decent money.
Okay.
And got a lot of regular clients. And I learned a lot from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. All of the principles in jiu-jitsu, all of what you learn can apply to your life.
Yes.
You have to be patient. You have to be relaxed. You have to be able to do this under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Just like life.
Yeah.
And you can't fake it.
No.
You have to put the work in.
If you don't, there's no results.
Yeah, exactly. Such is life.
Yeah.
I can be full of shit and convince you of who I am for a time.
Yeah.
But if I'm around you enough, you're going to see right through that shit out. The mat doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way with life. So I started applying these principles to my life. And every time I did it, things worked out. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is working out for me. Anyway, 2011, I decided to open my own studio. I had next to no money to do it. When I say next to no money, I had like $20,000 to try to make this work.
Which isn't a lot for opening a business.
It wasn't a lot.
It's nothing.
But I found a spot on around here actually, Oakfield in Brandon. Yeah. It was like literally it was like 1,000 square foot spot. I was just going to throw mats down and see how it goes.
Nice.
No knowledge of how to really do this as a business. I didn't even care. I just wanted to be able to do jiu-jitsu and not have to work.
That's awesome.
That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll be broke. I already know how to be poor.
Yeah. I'm good with it.
You know what I mean? It didn't matter.
As long as I do what I love.
Exactly. And I wanted to train fighters and killers. Like I wanted the best, competition team. What I didn't realize is none of those guys ever have any money. So, anyway, I had this spot picked out, and this is actually a crazy story. And honestly, I think there was some divine intervention with this. There was a student at my home gym, Gracie, Tampa. He was a young kid named David, and his parents were great, and I had made friends with them.
Yeah.
This kid went and did judo over in Riverview. And so at the same time he was doing jiu-jitsu, then going and doing judo at this other place. And when I was looking for a spot, David's mother called me and said, hey, listen, David's judo school is going under. And the owners of that building are looking for someone to rent it.
Okay.
And this was like out of the blue. The guy just went back to Japan or something, and I was like, I don't have much money, and I already have this spot picked out. I hadn't signed the lease yet. I was a day from signing the lease.
Wow.
Mind you, I was homeless. I lived in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I'll check it out, but I don't have money for that type of place. I'm like, okay, so I check it out. I go into this place, and it's like a lobby. You got a door on the left, a door on the right, a door straight ahead.
Okay.
The left was a full gym, like mats already there. Everything you need. Straight ahead was an office. To the right, a full studio apartment.
Wow. Perfect.
With everything you need. Washer, dryer, kitchen, bathroom,
Okay.
living
Meant to
room.
be.
And I was like, I would love this place, but I don't know if I have enough money. How much does it cost? They're like, you know what? We know that you're friends with these people. We know that you're really just trying to make it. So we'll give it to you for $800 a month.
Wow.
I was like,
That's crazy.
are you kidding me? I'm talking no security deposit.
Just straight up 800.
Straight up 800.
Nice.
I handed her $800, and then I had a business.
Wow, that's amazing.
And had 100 students in the first month.
Wow.
And it was like, this is kind of almost too easy.
Yeah.
How this is working out. Anyway, I had a lot of bumps and bruises on the way. You know, I wanted to train killers, and I would give them all the attention, and then the average guy, not so much.
Yeah.
They end up quitting. I found myself losing students, and then you learn from these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can't, a lot of people like to say, if you fail, get up and keep going. I like that, but I think if you fail, you get up and keep going differently.
Yeah.
You learn from it, right?
You have to actually learn from the failure.
Yeah.
Totally.
So many people don't do that. They
Yeah.
just keep spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
The failure is a gift if you learn
Yes.
from
You
it.
learn from it,
If
yeah.
you don't, and you just keep proceeding the same ways,
Yeah.
then you're just right.
Even a point to, you mentioned a few things and how you spoke, you got there, and we talk about this. So we talk about mind, body, spirit, and abundance. And a lot of people don't realize that abundance has got nothing to do with wealth. When you were sleeping on that gym floor, you were doing jiu-jitsu all day, you were happy, you were abundant. It had nothing to do with how much money was in your pocket.
No.
And you did what is the most difficult thing for a lot of people to do. You followed your gut.
Yes.
And when you follow your gut, that's why when you say, well, it came so easy, it came easy because the universe gave you a path, and instead of riding against it, you went with it, and that's what allowed you to really go in. And you realize that I don't need anything else as long as I have this, and that led you towards the extra abundance, which came in wealth.
It's so true, and I also think it's a testament to doing right by people.
Yes.
If you are shitty to people, you'll have no opportunity.
Energy brings energy.
Yeah, and you have to do right by, like, if I wasn't nice to David's parents, they would have never called me from that spot.
That's a good point.
I would have never had it, but I always spent time talking to them because I liked them. And, I was sort of the big shot at that gym.
Yeah.
And it was like, but I never let that get to my head.
Yeah.
I was always like, I don't care what you do or who you are. I mean, I've been in jail.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to the scum of the earth every day.
I'm no better than anybody, and I'm just being the best.
Exactly. I have this passion for this thing. You might be passionate about, I don't know, accounting.
Yeah.
It takes just as much work.
I love that saying. That is so true. We've spoken someone who, I don't even know that game the elderly people play. It's bowls. They roll the balls.
Shuffleboard.
Shuffleboard. You look at them, and it's very easy for someone who's physical, right, who's young, to look and go, that's stupid.
Right.
That's a skill set.
Oh yeah.
You don't become good at that without applying yourself.
Yeah.
So respect. Even if someone is good at chess, respect the fact that skill set was developed. That is something that someone's really put work into. So humble yourself to realize that as you may be good in what you do, but that doesn't mean that you shit on anyone else who is positioning themselves to be good at something.
Yep.
It takes time and effort.
Yeah. So I always just kind of, I had no problem. I'll sit and chat with anybody. I don't care. And it's not that common in the world of martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of assholes, man.
Really?
There's a lot.
That's surprising.
Yeah, and there's also a ton of great people.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys that let it get to their head, their capabilities, you know. Jiu-jitsu is a game.
Yeah.
It's an art. It's a game. And it just happens to be great if you get into a fight.
Yes.
But that is never why I trained it. I never, was like, cool, I can go out to the bar and get into a fight now. It never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I just loved the science of it. You know, you can come to jiu-jitsu, after a few months, you could handle most people on the street.
This is true.
It's not that big of a deal.
No.
But then why do you continue to train then? You know what I mean? If I can handle most people on the street after 6 months of training,
What do I need to keep
why
training?
am I doing this every day? You're doing it because you're in love with the game. It's almost like an addiction, an obsession.
To just continuously apply yourself and test your limits.
Right. It's very similar to playing a musical instrument.
Yeah.
I play guitar a lot, and it's the same mechanism in your brain that works out when you're playing an instrument or when you're doing jiu-jitsu. It's a puzzle you have to solve, like a video game.
Yes.
You know, and that's what I was in love with. Not to mention the camaraderie, the friends you make, the networking ability. I mean, I'll have in my gym, there'll be a cop training with a known weed dealer.
Yeah.
And nobody cares.
Because in there it means who you are and what you do outside doesn't matter. Yeah, it's
meaningless.
It's the beauty of sport.
Yeah, there's no political, there's no racism, none of that.
Yeah.
We could care less, you know?
I have a question. So, I've deployed a few times. Mental health is a big one for me. And, you shared your story there. I was intrigued when you talked about the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu and how it allowed you to relate that and translate it to life. Take a minute and talk to veterans out there that might be struggling, or anybody for that matter, that I feel like is struggling with purpose and identity. What I once did or loved is gone, or maybe I got baggage from deployments or childhood traumas that I can't overcome. I've got a lot of anger and resentment. How can you share with someone that jiu-jitsu can help you break through those walls?
Well, like I said, you can apply the fundamentals of jiu-jitsu to any part of your life. You have to understand patience with jiu-jitsu. You also might get your ass kicked by a 130-pound girl. How are you going to deal with that? Who you are is going to be extremely evident on the mat.
Yeah.
And it's going to become clear to you who you are. How do you solve problems? I can get on the mat with another black belt that I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have to talk to him. We spend 20, 30 minutes on the mat with each other. I know that guy.
Yeah.
More than he
That's
did
cool.
if I had a conversation with
Yeah.
him. I know how he solves problems.
Yes.
I know how he approaches dilemmas.
Yeah.
And it's a language.
100%.
As far as I was never at war or anything, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I know what that's like. I don't. I definitely suffered from PTSD issues.
Sure.
I found that, like I said before, forgiveness, not only for other people but yourself. We all make mistakes. We all deal with problems the wrong way.
Yeah.
Can you learn from it? Then forgive yourself.
Yeah.
You can't be so hard on yourself. You
That's a
can't
good point.
Good.
beat yourself up about everything. Oh, I did this wrong. I made this bad choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and everyone else.
Yeah.
You look at other people and you're like, oh, that guy looks like he's got it together, man.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Everybody's
that
fucked
dude
up.
doesn't have it together at all.
You make a good point. I'll tell the story. As remember, we stayed in Canada, we were in Toronto, and it's the best way I can explain to people mindset and abundance and how to really be grateful and humble for where you are. We were driving on the highway, packed traffic, and there's a homeless guy sitting on the side of the road, playing ball with his dog, and his dog's rolling the floor, and he's laughing, and they're having the best day. Right next to me over here is a guy in a Bentley, rich crying, right? He's got tears in his eyes.
Wow.
Like, he's got everything going for him. He's got from everyone else who counts everything based on how much money's in their pocket.
Oh, terrible.
Right, and you see it, and you go, like, out of those two sitting right there, this is a guy without a home, but he's happy. He has abundance. He sees the world for what it is. And this guy sitting right here, who seems to have everything together, is broken down crying. And it's, a lot of people don't put that in because Western society, what I love with jiu-jitsu is, as much as it comes from Brazil, original jiu-jitsu from Japan, there's a specific discipline and mindset that comes with it. Like, as you said, you have to apply patience. You get to know people that you train with. When I met Kevin, I said to him, I want to get to know you, and you're going to train with me first because I want to see what you're willing to do. Like that is when we go into a workout, I'm going to see if you give up. I'm going to see if you just quit. I'm going to see if you're willing to push yourself and apply yourself past certain levels. And I feel sport is such a good avenue for people to test themselves, whichever one you choose to go. And the stories are always similar. Within jiu-jitsu, what I want to ask you is kids, right? So, you know, I did a deep dive in the research behind how the schools run. And one of the conversations we have is, you know, when you bring kids in there, it can be an extreme, the same as the gym is for someone who's never trained there, right? You want to walk in, you know, is everyone going to judge me? How's people going to look at me? Am I walking to a place where everyone's going to beat up on me, right? And again, I've been in gyms where I've walked in and literally there's a line of, as you said, assholes, and all they want to do is they want to try and prove themselves and show that I can be a big guy, right? But in the same breath, I've been in amazing schools where you have the most humble, beautiful people who are there. And the minute that you show them that I am here to learn, I am humbled by the fact that I am not in my environment and you are welcoming in, all of a sudden they are so welcoming and they start teaching you. So give us some insights when someone goes to Gracie Brandon and they walk in and this is a mom, a dad with their kids. What can they expect? Because if you've never been in that environment, it can be very intimidating.
Yeah, it can be very intimidating. There's this weird idea with people that like watch UFC and they go and they say, I want to try it.
Yeah.
And they come in and they just kind of expect that they're going to have to fight someone that day. You know? They're just like, where's the guy? Where's the cage? You know?
It's funny.
But obviously that's not how it works. With kids specifically, parents will come in. Listen, we greet them at the door. Nice. You know? We want them to have a good experience, just overall. We want the mother or the father to have a good experience. We want the kid to have a good experience. And essentially, you know, I'll sit them down and ask them, one of the big things that I do is I ask them why they're there. You know, it's kind of the first rule of sales.
Yeah.
You know, why are you here? Why'd you bring your kid?
That big why.
It's huge, you know. And there's different answers. Sometimes it's my kid's getting bullied.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
When that's the answer, I'm like, you are in the right place. Yes. I am glad you're here.
Nice.
You know, those words go a long way with people. I'm glad you're here. And, you know, physically, then sit the parents down, the kid goes into his class.
Yeah.
Parents can watch. I don't let them in the room, but they can watch. Almost without fail, the kids have a great time.
It's a fun thing.
They have a great time. They're learning technique, doing positional drilling.
Yeah.
So it'll be like we break down the positions. So you'll start in a certain position. You have certain goals, and your opponent has certain goals, and you have to try to make that work. You feel your way through it. You listen to instruction. Maybe at the end of the class they'll play a game, and you know, it's a great time. I'll sit down with the parents and the kids, but you know, if the kid's getting bullied, it's like, man, you're at the right place. And almost without fail, the parents have this idea that if my kids, like this idea of, well, don't hit anyone unless they hit you first.
Fuck that.
No.
Yeah.
Or this 3-strike. This is 3-strike rule they have now at schools. Not rule, but like, these parents will tell their kids, let it go the first time, let it go the second time.
No.
You don't sit there and take a hit.
Yeah.
I tell the kids, if someone approaches you and they are angry and you feel like they might physically harm you,
end it.
The moment they are within reach, you go first.
Yeah.
You end it, and you might get suspended from school.
Whatever.
And I tell my own kids this: you might get suspended from school, but I'm going to take you out for ice cream.
Yeah,
100%.
You know,
dude.
So-
I'll tell you a story. So I have 3 kids, 8, 6, and 4-year-old, and Jay's met my kids a lot. They love him. It's the muscles, I guess, but they do. They love it. They always, can we see Mr. Jason? But anyway, my son is small. I was a small kid growing up. When I hit puberty is when I started to put size on. But he's tiny, right? And they're waiting on their daycare bus to go back to the after-school program. And a 3rd grader walks up to another kindergartner, grabs him by the back of the head, slams it down on the desk.
Oh, Jesus.
My daughter watched this go down, and I asked her, I said, like, what did you do? And she, I think she was in 1st grade at the time of this happening, because my kids are a year apart, yeah. So my son was in kindergarten, so she's 1st. Anyway, she's like, well, I tried to tell a teacher, but there was no teacher around. And when I found one, it was like the kid was already gone, and I couldn't really explain who it was. I didn't know his name, and all that stuff. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, let me ask you a question. Now, I've told you before, we train in Muay Thai. My wife and I, we're very novice, right? I don't want to say that I'm good at it. I just have fun. I enjoy it. But we teach our kids to hit pads and stuff, right? Based on what our coaches taught us, and we teach them. We have heavy bags, pads in our house. We teach them stuff. I asked my daughter, what would you do if that was your brother? How would you have handled that? And she kind of pauses for a second. She's like, I'd kick him in the nuts. And I was like, good girl. I was like, that's a good girl. But my whole thing, like, I appreciate you saying, like, when you feel the threat is there, because we talked about this yesterday, it takes one good blow and that kid's hurt.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in that spot where you're being bullied, like my son, for example, he's a bull. Like, he doesn't take shit from kids already, which I love because he's small. But my worry is always that because he's small, it takes one kid to take him. But if he shows that he's not afraid, there's going to be less likely of a kid coming after him.
Bullies are insecure people.
For sure.
Yeah.
They have something they want to prove to themselves. Like, they're the moment you stand up to a bully, they'll back down.
Yeah.
You know, and even if they don't, you get into a fight, you make it a fight, they're never going to bother you again.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
So, yeah, and I don't like how this idea, a lot of parents have this idea that somehow the school administrators are going to solve the problem of bullying.
No way.
They're not. It's just nothing they can do.
Right.
You have to teach your kids to be able to deal
But
with
the
a bully.
bullying is going to happen when nobody's around.
Right.
So when there's no parent, when there's no teachers, no anybody, so it's literally kid for kid. You've got to be prepared for that situation.
Yeah.
And that carries through to adulthood.
For
You know,
sure.
this is fundamentally learning how to handle yourself as a kid. And again, the concept, and correct me if I'm wrong, the whole concept of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is the defense against people who are bigger and stronger than you.
Yes.
That's how it was designed by the Gracies. And the concept of that is control. Now, as you said, and we'll see tonight. Like tonight, Kevin and I are coming to your school.
Yep.
We're going to line up a whole bunch of assassin black belts. We're going to show the effectiveness, right? I'm pretty capable. I've rolled. Kevin's capable. He's a good vet, but we're not at that level. And we're going to show people how effective this is. And when you can, as yourself as a small and a woman, like my wife, I've been telling for years, and she wants to go roll, because if you want to be effective, jiu-jitsu is your best defense against any attack. It's a great defense. But on that is, I want to ask you, do you guys implement the Gracie bulletproof system?
No, I don't. We teach very much competition jiu-jitsu.
I got you.
We'll talk to kids about bullying, but it's like a strange thing. Like, when the kids, they understand, you got to give them more credit than you think.
Yeah.
When they get to a level, you know, they're in there for 6 months, a year, they're training every day.
They're pretty capable.
They know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, you don't need to do any of that.
You don't need
That
to,
makes
like,
sense.
and they walk with a confidence. They carry themselves differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
None of my kids get bullied.
I believe that. Like, why would they?
None of them are bullies.
And none of them look for fights either.
No.
Because you other than the fact of the discipline of jiu-jitsu, that's kind of the energy you exude, right?
Right.
You're not looking for that.
It's a process. It takes a little bit of time for the kids to get there.
Yeah.
The reason why there's these other gyms that do programs like that, like Bully Proof and this, it's for the parents' sake.
Yeah, I got you.
It's so the parents see, he's telling my kid exactly how to deal with
it's a sales pitch.
Totally.
Yeah, it's a sales pitch. That makes sense.
It's to get more money out of the parents.
And you cover this already. I mean, you're teaching them jiu-jitsu. It's the fundamentals.
I got to ask, and I'm not going to call any places out because I don't think that's appropriate, but I have seen on social media some local places that basically are celebrating kids getting black belts within like 6 months, a year.
Not in jiu-jitsu.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
And I have nothing but respect for jiu-jitsu, but like to me, when I see that, it's like you're setting these kids up for failure.
It's such a scam. I will throw those schools under the bus because they're scamming people. You're talking about your typical taekwondo and karate school, your traditional martial arts side of things. Now, a little bit of a history. In the United States, up until the 90s, 2000s, we didn't know a damn thing about fighting.
This is true.
What happened was the soldiers in, I want to say Vietnam or maybe World War II or maybe Korean War, they learned karate and taekwondo.
Yeah.
They came back to the United States and they opened karate and taekwondo schools. That's why karate is synonymous with, is that the word?
Synonymous.
Yeah, synonymous.
With martial
smart.
arts.
Yeah.
You know, my dad still thinks I do karate.
That was from and I think if memory serves right, that was the influx from the Vietnam War, and then you had Bruce Lee come in, you had Chuck Norris, and everyone thought karate is the thing. And like, I did karate, it's useless. If you do karate, it's kata. That is kind of just a dance movement, from my opinion. But when I've seen those guys go against someone who's capable, especially jiu-jitsu, which we saw in UFC 1. Yeah. If you haven't watched UFC 1,
you should.
It's a train wreck.
It's a train wreck when you see these guys from different disciplines, which is what it was designed for. My God, it was a when you saw Hoist Gracie walk in there and he just decimated everybody.
Dismantled them, man.
It was insane.
You know, what happened was all these schools opened, and listen, karate back in the day in Japan or whichever Asian country it was like kickboxing.
Yeah.
It was very similar. Imagine Muay Thai with fancier kicks.
Yes.
That's essentially what Taekwondo and karate was.
Yeah.
Well, what happened when they started opening schools up in the United States is they wanted to make it a business.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, people don't like to do things that are difficult.
That's true.
Your average person doesn't. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
So they started watering it down, and they started saying, okay, well, we don't have to spar, and we'll still give you belts. And then they realized how much these kids want belts.
Yeah.
So they said, all right, parents, we're going to charge you $100 every time your kid gets a belt. And they're going to get a belt every couple months to make even more money. And no matter how good the kid is at it, they're getting their belt.
They're going to move up.
Right. And they're only teaching these kids how to do kicks. That's it.
Yeah.
They know how to do a spinning back kick. They don't know how to set it up. They don't know how to box. They don't know how to grapple. They don't know literally anything about fighting.
Yeah.
They just know how to do that. They know how to break boards. You got to break 6 boards to get the next belt.
And aren't the boards already kind of pre-cracked for them anyway?
Yeah.
What I kind of heard is like Krav Maga, right? Krav Maga is an Israeli Defense Force fighting system. And lo and behold, and I'll go into the deep because this goes down to the belt system as you talk about it. So Krav Maga is a 2-week training system that the Israeli Defense Force puts them for. It teaches them the fundamentals of self-defense, right? Throwing, avoiding knife attacks, so forth. And then, however it came into the Western world, and everyone started going to Krav Maga school. Right now, over the 2 weeks, there's nothing more there. It's a 2-week system.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. It's
Thank
a 2-week
you for
system.
saying this.
It's a 2-week system. Like, if you don't believe me, you can go Google Krav Maga and the Israeli Defense Force. It essentially states that it's a 2-week system to train their soldiers to be competent in hand-to-hand combat. Past that, there's nothing. But now I've heard that you get belts in Krav Maga.
Yeah.
Really?
There's no belt system. It was never designed that way. Funny enough is a lot of the martial arts, if you go back to the history, the belt system wasn't a thing. No. The belt system was brought in exactly for what, as Rob is saying, it's brought in to give people the impression of building up. And unfortunately, and you're going to tell me if I'm going the wrong line here, but there's a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu schools, that will hand belts out to people who are of high level. I think there's one in Tampa, and I think Dave Batista.
Yeah,
he's one of the fighters there. Now, it's not any. I mean, he's done an MMA fight, and he looks pretty capable. But you have to ask the questions. You know, when someone comes in, you know, Mark Zuckerberg started doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which is going to lead to my next question. And if he all of a sudden becomes a black belt in the next 6 months, right, in the next 2 years, I'm going to have a lot of questions of how he got that black belt.
He paid for it.
He paid for it.
He paid for it, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be said for. I appreciate what you said. We don't run that system. We train you how to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Correct.
We're focused on getting it. And on that note, tell us, how do you progress your students? How do they get their next belt?
So you come in, everyone gets a white belt.
Yeah.
Hardest belt to get is that white belt. Are you walking in that door and doing it? When you're able to, when you have a couple go-tos, like I have a go-to from this position. I have 1 or 2 pathways to this position.
Yeah.
Every position I have something.
Yes.
And I can pull this off on people that aren't as good as me.
Yeah.
You have a decent defense with people, you know, that don't know jiu-jitsu, or people that are more novice than you.
Got you.
You're a blue belt, okay? And it depends too. I have hobbyists.
Yeah.
I have professional athletes.
I got you.
Totally different scale.
Yeah.
You know, my professional, my ones that aspire to be professional. It's going to take longer to get their blue belt.
Yeah.
Because you're grading them.
Not even necessarily longer. They're going to have to do better than the hobbyists.
Because they're on a different level.
They're graded on a curve.
And by doing that, you're doing them a favor because you're making sure that their skill set is elevated.
Right. Well, they're in competition, so they have to go with other people at their belt level. So, like, I can't give the hobbyist the blue belt, and then the guy that's professional the blue belt before he's ready, meeting the skill level of his competitors.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So there's your blue belt. Once you start playing chess with this game, once I start setting traps and I build a bigger arsenal, right? And I'm playing chess with you. Blue belt, you're playing checkers.
I got you.
Right?
I got you.
Purple belt, now you're playing chess.
Yeah.
But you have this arsenal of moves. You're able to, I can teach you a move, and you're able to go do it that same day on someone live.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah, you understand the motion.
You understand this, and you build this giant arsenal of moves, right? And you're sort of like a rabbit. You're doing this, you're doing that. Oh, this didn't work, I got this. Oh, this didn't work, I got this. And boom, you're throwing 100 moves at somebody, and one sticks. There's your purple belt, right? Your brown belt, you're just better at it than a purple belt.
Gotcha.
I actually have an opinion on it. I don't think brown belt should exist, but it does. Your black belt, though, your arsenal shrinks.
Okay.
And you've become so great at a few things that you can just hit everyone with it.
Okay.
And there's nothing they can do about it. You could know 1,000 moves. I know 5.
But your 5 is way more effective than my 1,000.
What if I catch you in my 5 moves?
Yeah.
Just because you know 1,000, it means nothing.
You became an expert on 5 instead of a jack of all trades on 1,000.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I do the belt system. The kids similar. They have a different belt system.
Yeah.
They have a couple more belts because, to be fair, to keep kids engaged.
Yeah.
You know, they love that reward system, so it's a good thing.
So you do want to use it to kind of keep them coming back and keep them engaged. That makes perfect sense.
You do, but you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
I don't charge a lot for belts. I don't, believe it or not, I don't believe in testing with jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
I think it's stupid. And the reason why, if you trained with me every night for a year, I know exactly how good you are.
Yeah.
You're tested every night.
Yeah.
See, the mat doesn't lie.
Yeah.
You know, I know how good you are.
Yeah.
So every 6 months we have a promotion ceremony, and if I feel that you're ready, I'll give you your belt.
Wow. I like that. It's more on the feel on the mat,
right?
Versus just trying to give it out at certain levels. I like that.
Why do I need to make you dance like a monkey in front of me?
Yeah.
For what? I already know how good you are.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of, Now I'll promote people quicker that compete more.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no way. Competing is the best way to get better.
Yeah.
When you are in a competition and you lose, you'll never make that mistake again.
Yeah.
It's just glaringly obvious what you did wrong, and you will fix that problem.
Yes.
As opposed to in the gym, you know, you get submitted, you move on, you don't think about it, you know? So it's a longer process to get better. So, you know, people that compete will get promoted quicker. And it just depends on the person. Like, I have people that come in with extreme anxiety, really hesitant to get on the mat, really scared. If I can get that guy to just do one competition, that's huge.
Get rid of all that.
Oh, man. It's so awesome, because that was huge for that guy. Then I have people that come in that are like, they're in there for a week. They're like, when's the next competition? I'm ready. You're like, slow your roll, dude. Just
be me and Kevin.
Super
competitive. Well, I think that's a good point. Like, I told Jay this story. When I started training Muay Thai, like, I went in because I'm an athlete at heart, and I have been successful in most everything I've done. Initially, I went into it, I was like, I'm going to be a professional Muay Thai fighter at 40 years old, or however old I was. And I was like, dude, stop. You're an idiot. Just have
just
fun.
Go enjoy it.
Yeah, just go have fun.
And that's most of my students. Most of my students are just everyday, average Joes that want to do something fun.
Yeah.
And I try to make it as fun as possible. If you come into my gym and you're an asshole, I'm kicking you out.
Yeah.
I don't ask questions, you're
that's
out.
That's a good point, because that's a big thing, because the thing is that negative energy is going to affect everybody else, and it can destroy a school in 5 seconds.
Cancer to a school. And there's a couple of rules I have, you know, like, if you're advanced, you better be helping the new people. Like, I don't want to see you ignoring the new people and just training with your high level guys. You want good training partners? Build them.
Nice.
Make the people around you.
Also, you didn't get here by yourself. Like, people helped you. So pay it forward.
I like that.
Take the time, get a white belt, bring them under your wing, work with them,
and slowly build them up.
And that's how you build an awesome team. That's how you build a great team, man.
And you seem to have that at the school. Like, I've rolled there, and the instructors were of the best. I've been in a lot of schools, and the instructors were insanely good. Patient, detailed. You ask a question, they show you how to switch up a move. They see you struggling, they'll show you alternative ways of how to do it. I found it very informative.
No, they're great, man. I definitely pride myself on the caliber of instructor we have. And then unfortunately, it doesn't matter. It matters when you've been a student for like 5 years, and then you learn to appreciate that. But the truth is, Joe Schmo comes into my gym, they don't know what good instruction is. No. They just know
whatever that guy's
whatever happens, you know? Mostly people are concerned about whether or not they're having fun, man. They want to have fun. They want to meet cool people. They want to learn something, you know,
and when it comes to self.
It is. I just happen to I can't have a shitty instructor. Like, I can't just.
Your standard doesn't let you.
It's just I have high standards for
That's
it.
good.
You know, well, and I make sure that we keep those high standards. I think it's important. But unfortunately, not all that necessary to have a successful business. You know?
I'd like to switch to a different. So we've spoken about kids and kind of the general rule. And a lot of what we do on the Layman's Lab is we're trying to reach men to help them find purpose, to help them find that balance, which, you know, when you choose a sport like jiu-jitsu, as you said, is when you started it, all of a sudden put everything else in balance, because it almost forces you to. So let's speak about a 40-year-old, right? 40-year-old guy, and the example I want to use is Ed Helms, Al Bundy from Married with Children. This is a guy who started, I think he was 46 when he started. He was 46 when he went to his first class, and he says the hardest thing he ever did was getting up every night, trying to figure out and go back in. And I mean, he's a black belt, and he's apparently so good. Right? And the thing is, where I'd rate him versus anyone, no one knew he was doing this. So I think it took him 12 to 15 years to get his black belt, and he said it was one of the hardest things he did because of the amount of discipline he had to apply to it. Speak to the 40-year-old out there who's looking for something that he can go into. This is not, you know, your days of trying to play football and baseball, that's done, right? But jiu-jitsu is something you can do for long too, right? I mean, and I want you to speak to the 40-year-old who's trying to decide what he wants to do something active, wants to do something physical, right? how do you approach that 40-year-old that walks into there, has never seen a MMA or a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu studio? How do you approach them?
Well, first off, Ed O'Neill trained with my coach.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Really good guy.
Yeah. So
Ed O'Neill is great. There's a funny meme where you have Ed O'Neill with like the Married with Children with his hands in his pants, and then you have Keanu Reeves as John Wick. Believe it or not, this guy can kick this guy's ass. It's funny. But no, man, the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is you can do it till you die, you know? What I suggest is don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Go in there, have fun, learn the moves, try the moves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is the problem, and this is how people get injured. They don't want to lose in the gym so badly that if they don't know the technique, they're going to try to muscle it. They're going to try to use athleticism and all these attributes. But you can't have an ego in the gym.
No.
All that's going to do is delay the inevitable.
Yeah.
What you have to do is blindly try the things you're learning. It's going to fail.
Yeah.
100% it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Probably the first 200 times you try it. And then you work the kinks out.
Okay.
So, like, I teach you an arm bar. You go try it on him. It fails. He's better than you.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, instead of you getting emotional about it, right, and saying, damn it didn't work, you say, okay, you come to me, you say, I tried that arm bar, and he did this specific thing.
Yeah.
How do I stop it, or what do I do, how do I deal with it? And then I tell you, do this, this, and this, or you missed this, or your timing was off, whatever it was. Then you go back, you try it again, you fail again for a completely different reason. And you come to me and you say, I tried it, now he did this. Okay. But you have to experience that first.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and teach you an arm bar and then list all 10,000 things he can do to stop you.
You got to actually feel it out.
Yeah.
Good point.
You have to go through that.
Yeah.
Now, if you are big and strong, there's guys at my gym that are nowhere near your size that are like blue belt level that you will probably be able to smash through with your muscles. And you're not going to learn shit doing that.
Nothing.
Right.
So if you decide to resort to that because you don't want to lose,
That's a good point.
you're not learning.
Yeah, and
you know?
I'll speak from personal experiences. We talked about the ADCC, which is the Abu Dhabi Grappling Championships that you have there every 2 years. And there's a guy from South Africa called Mark Robinson, right? Strong man, an insane grappler, but he learned the skill set with his strength. And the first time I ever went to do grappling when in my 20s, I got this monster gorilla, and he dropped me on my head in 3 seconds. And then I thought when I took the smaller instructor on, it would be different, but it happened the same way.
Yeah.
Didn't change. The outcome didn't change. And I've had that problem of going and rolling and being so super competitive that I don't want to lose that I muscle out, and all I've had is injuries. When I went to your school the last time, I kind of let that go, right? I put ego aside and said, I'm just going to go and enjoy the process and try and learn those movements without putting the physicality into it and being okay. Like, you're going to get tapped out. It's not a competition, it's a chess game.
Exactly.
Right? In order to win, I have to go through the moves.
Yeah.
And when I applied that, I had a great session with Ryan Reeves, who's in our BNI chapter.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And it was the first time that I realized, okay, there's a way to do this without hurting yourself, especially for bigger guys out there. And there's a lot of big guys out there that want to go try this, but are scared. And the same thing is, they pick your ego up, put it at the door, go experience it. Be okay if the girl of 100 pounds taps you. She's going to.
Yeah.
Be okay with it, and then ask her, how did you do that? Explain the process to me. Figure out how to move. And it's really is an important factor. Is like you cannot go in there with ego.
No, you can't. You just got to go in there and play the game. If I was to play chess with you, we would play chess together. How big and strong you are doesn't matter, for one.
Good point.
Number two, if I knocked your pieces over because I was angry, I did not win the chess game. I didn't. I have to play the game, right? So that's really important to understand. I wouldn't say most people, a lot of people cannot do that.
Yeah, they can't let it go.
They can't let it go. They have to win.
Yeah.
And, a lot of my competitors have a hard time with that, but it's like, you will win later.
Yeah.
You're trying to chase instant gratification, and you're not going to get it.
I relate this to, like, hearing you talk about all this. And I told you before, I'm a baseball guy. And I think back to when I was coaching that travel team, the way I was raised with baseball, with kids especially, and I feel like this is similar to jiu-jitsu, where you've got to learn your core fundamentals and learn how to play the game the right way, learn how to perform jiu-jitsu the right way fundamentally. Mm-hmm. And then the winning will be the byproduct at a later time.
Yes.
You're not going to get the gratification today because you're piecing all this stuff together and you're doing it the right way, and then one day it's going to click.
Yep.
When you say that, it is strange to me. Like when you listen to this, that's every sport on earth, right?
Yeah.
If I think if you're going to go into a gym and you want to do bodybuilding, right, it doesn't come on the first second. It doesn't come after the first year. You don't see anything for the first 6 months, right? So there's a patience that has to come into it. So it oftentimes confuses me how people from other sports struggle to implement, but it's always the humbling factor. Mm-hmm. Is you got to always remember where you came from. Mm-hmm. You didn't start out in anything you started. You had to do your 10,000 hours of work to become an expert and then apply and read the discipline. And when you can remember that, this will be a lot easier for you.
Well, I think for me, like like in our culture, we talk sports so much, right? And every sport that a kid plays, we were talking about this before. The parents like, oh, my kid's gonna be a superstar or whatever, the best player, and then we like ingrain in these kids that they got to be the best at every, like if they're gonna play baseball, basketball, football, jiu-jitsu, whatever thing. I don't know if jiu-jitsu is like this. I don't want to misspeak, but like everything that you touch, the parent and the culture around it is you're gonna be the best.
Yeah,
you have to be the best. You have to be the best, and so all they do is invest money, time, energy, weekend tournaments, all these things that they do to try to create this kid that's gonna be the best player ever. Yeah. And then when he doesn't do that, and he's not going to be that person, because statistically speaking, it's impossible, you're not going to be that best player. And now that kid's destined for just like failure.
Yeah.
And then they struggle with that after failure aspect of it, and then they're like traumas and whatever else they come with that.
I've seen so many kids. I'll put it this way: I've been doing this since 2006, and out of my instructors network. Mm-hmm. I think there's 25, maybe even 30 locations now.
Yeah.
And there's been tens of thousands of kids that have come and gone.
Yeah.
2 are black belts.
Wow.
2. Like, what does that tell you?
That shows how hard it is.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of times when these kids get to like 15, 16 years old,
interest change.
They rebel against their parents and they get in, they don't want to do it anymore. They get into something else. I mean, it's good that they have it, but you as a parent trying to live vicariously through your kids is a huge mistake.
Oh yeah.
Don't do that. Let your kids have fun. My kids do jiu-jitsu and they do kickboxing and they do wrestling. They do gymnastics. They do all this stuff. They play an instrument. My job is to tell them, good job, and I'm proud of you. Yeah, let's go have ice cream.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, did you have fun? Half the time I'm not even watching the class.
Yeah, just
I want it to be theirs. Experience. It's theirs. It's not mine. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm just here because I love you.
I'm just supporting you. I'm a supportive thing, but this is your thing, you do you.
Right, and I have parents that they're glued to that window watching their kid and making hand gestures
because they're judging themselves through the kids, right?
Oh yeah, it's honestly it's gross.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you.
It's gross.
I feel like one of the things I've observed on the baseball circuit, and a lot of the kids that I've coached when they were younger, a lot of them are in college now and having success, but it's all right, I go to college to play baseball. Some of these guys are getting opportunities to play professionally, but when that Band-Aid gets ripped off and they didn't achieve the level that they thought they were going to achieve, they don't know how to process that. Yeah. I didn't. I struggled with that. That failure for me was a big hurt for me for a long time. I was even bitter at the game for a while. I didn't want anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. And I think so many kids fail to understand there's more to life than this particular sport.
Yeah.
What I love about what you're talking with the fundamentals of your school is it's more teaching a lifestyle approach. Yeah. And this isn't the end all be all, but it's teaching you a lifestyle. It's teaching you a mindset. Yeah. I think that's huge.
With my kids and my students, even my younger students especially, and I'm talking about young adults.
Yeah.
My goal for them is: are you content, adult?
Yeah.
Are you content with yourself? That's. Did you learn from jiu-jitsu how to apply this to your life? Mm-hmm. Are you content with your life? And my own kids especially. I don't care what my kids do when they grow up. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you're happy being a janitor in your 1-bedroom apartment.
That's the key word there. Happiness, right?
Good for you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit there and judge you based on your income.
As long as you're happy.
Yeah. Are you happy? Are you content? Are you balanced? I mean, I have met the greatest ever in jiu-jitsu. I've met the greatest ever in wrestling, in kickboxing.
Yeah.
Most of the time you meet these people that are number one of their art, their sport, whatever it is, they're kind of lunatics.
Well, I think, honestly, my take on that would be is if you are the best at what you do in any discipline, you've got to be a bit crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be crazy because just the amount of effort to get to that
It's
level,
an obsession.
You drive to a different level, right?
Well, a lot of times they can't have conversations.
Yeah.
It's like talking to someone who only knows one thing.
And that's all he wants to talk about too.
It's all he wants to talk about, and a lot of times it's the only thing they have.
Yeah.
So they want to brag
Yes.
all the time because they can't talk to you about anything else. They don't have any knowledge of any other subjects.
Which is not always the greatest thing. I mean, balance there it becomes a bit of a problem because you see it with the aging MMA fighters. Once they get the knockouts done and it's a sad game to go in. But and then you get others who are really well versed and kind of, as you said, there is balance in there. But yeah, you get your psychos in each sport.
Yeah, for sure.
That's true.
The MMA fighting, man, that is a rough life.
That's a different game.
I mean, there's, how many people have come into my gym and told me they want to be a UFC fighter?
I don't know why though.
You know how many actually fought in the UFC?
None.
One.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it all the time, especially with like your 17, 18, 19-year-olds. They come in, they're like, I want to fight. They watch UFC all the time. The moment you get punched in the head or kicked in the head and you have to deal with that, the moment you're sparring with someone and you're tired and they keep coming after you. It's rough.
And I think the luck of having podcasts and guys like Joe Rogan, and I mean, he tells people straight. He goes, if I was you, I wouldn't do MMA. No. And if you are going to do it for that short span of time, make as much money as you can, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Because in the long term, the amount of damage you're going to put to your body is insane. And we're not talking about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. We're talking about MMA in a cage fighting. That is And speaking of that, I wanted to cover with you, how many other disciplines do you guys cover in the school?
We do Muay Thai, we do wrestling, and we do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
And how do your class schedules run? So you start early with the kids?
So I have a morning 6 a.m. Jiu Jitsu class. We have a 9:30 a.m., and this is Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
A 9:30 a.m. Muay Thai. We have a 10:30 a.m. Jiu Jitsu, and then we have the kids' classes start at 4. So 4 to 4:45, and then 5 to 5:45, 5:45 to 6:30. We do Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu with the kids, depending on the day. And we also have a wrestling team that trains out of my facility.
Nice.
That my students can take part in. So it was a great story. One of my buddies, Willie, is a math teacher at a high school, and he's a wrestler. The school had no wrestling team. So he comes to my facility and he says, well, can we use your space? And I was like, yeah, I ended up really hitting it off with the guy, great guy. And now he's got, I don't know. All I know is the room is packed.
That's awesome.
With his wrestling team.
Like that.
And they're winning states. They're winning districts. They're doing great. He's got guest instructors. It's really great to see that.
That's awesome.
He did such a good job. So we have that program. If you really want to get into wrestling, you can. If you really want to get into the jiu-jitsu, you can, or the Muay Thai. You could do all three. And make it your life if you want to.
I love that.
I have students that train once, twice a week. I have students that are there 3 times a day.
And I saw on your Facebook page is you got association with Rufusport.
We used to.
You used to.
We used to. That's my Facebook is not all that up to date.
I will fix that.
Yeah, my Instagram is, but the Facebook, I'm having issues connecting it. I don't know, but anyway, we used to associate under and he's great.
Yeah,
he was great. He came out, did a seminar, but I ended up getting a new Muay Thai instructor after that, Adriel, and he's great, ex-fighter. Does a great job, and we just kind of fell away from it. Nothing bad, nothing good, and just
it's all good.
Kind of unnecessary to have the association, but no, he's got a great program. Rufusport was a great program.
Perfect.
Well, out of curiosity, why did you have Muay Thai?
Why did we have Muay Thai?
Why do you have it in there? I'm just curious.
Well, I want people to have the opportunity to learn a full spectrum of martial arts. I mean, if you want to learn how to fight, like, you have to be able to fight from every position. So if we're both standing up and we have a distance between us, I must know how to box at least. I have to understand basic boxing skills. The moment you grab me, I can no longer box. I have to know how to wrestle.
Yeah.
And or judo. I have to know those things. So, but the moment you put me on the ground, I have to know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give people the opportunity to have
a well-rounded, holistic system.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I say we specialize more in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
In the jiu-jitsu.
But what I'm hearing you say, even as an expert in jiu-jitsu, you see the importance of being well-rounded as a fighter.
Yeah.
Like, for anybody listening to this, I would make that point that you got to learn more than just one art.
Well, I trained Muay Thai for years. I fought MMA.
Yeah.
I quickly realized I did not want that to be my career. Training for MMA is a no joke. It is rough.
Yeah.
You're beat up. You're bruised up.
There's no such thing as competing healthy in MMA.
No,
You're always broken.
And a lot of these guys, man, I've seen guys come out of a UFC career with trauma, like head trauma. The CTE is so bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's one guy, and I don't want to say his name, but he's an old school fighter. He's a guy that fought from the 90s into like your 2010-ish times, and he's a vegetable now.
Yeah, he's not the only one. Like I know a few, and we've got a South African champion at the moment, Dricus du Plessis.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and the kid is amazing, and he's doing really well. He's got the championship, but I'm hoping he just capitalizes and gets the hell out and make a career out of it. Because there's definitely a time from. Usually, honestly, my usual opinion is with MMA, once guys start really coining in on the money, that desire to fight seems to drip down with it as well.
Well, yeah, look what happened with Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
The problem comes when these guys, they become champion. And this is one of the reasons why Sean Strickland just lost to Dricus, because Sean Strickland was already a champ. He was already the champ. He lost it to du Plessis, but he was already the champ. He's most likely a millionaire.
Yeah, got a good career.
It's hard to get up in the morning and spar Muay Thai when you got $5 million in the bank and you already achieved the goal.
I really need this?
I mean, he's paid on the last card losing $1.2 million.
Right.
I mean, the guy's he's in a comfortable position.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's not hungry anymore for that fight, which you see with fighters these days, but it's becoming younger and younger.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times too. These guys. I honestly don't think Sean Strickland fought that fight because he wanted the belt.
The money.
He fought it because they're giving him a paycheck.
Yeah.
That's why Israel Adesanya is still fighting. Yeah. That's why Anderson Silva fought mid into his 40s.
Yeah, because he's got a name and someone's going to pay to watch you fight.
I can get $10 million.
Yeah.
I will fight my grandma for $10 million.
Like the Mike Tyson fight. I'll fight Mike Tyson. I'll let him knock me out and beat me up. He can bend me over $50 million. I'm all right. That's insane money.
Money
right?
talks.
Yeah, that's insane stuff. I got a couple of questions prepared for you, just basically within the jiu-jitsu world, right? Gordon Ryan, who's by many considered the GOAT when it comes to Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? He's an insane, but also he is juiced to the gills, right? Very honest about his steroid use, and it's in his particular cases. There's the arguments made that him taking performance-enhancing drugs makes no difference to his performance in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. However, it must also be said is when you're an expert at his level, how do you feel? Do you think at his level when he takes that and he all of a sudden gets that? So what's going to happen is when you take steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, whatever you want to call it, you're going to get a immediate boost in resilience because you're going to recover a lot quicker. There's going to be a slight increase in power, and there's definitely going to be an increase in aggression. Do you think that benefited him into where he got, or do you think it made no difference?
Well, first you said that he's honest about it.
He's honest about it.
Just everyone else isn't.
True. That is so true.
That's the truth. So they're all on it.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone tell you they're all on it.
Yeah.
So it's playing on a level playing field.
Yeah.
Do I think it helped him? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You're stronger. Being strong is an attribute that helps you with jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Is it the thing that makes you the best?
No.
Gordon Ryan's technique and his ability to implement technique is unmatched.
That is true.
So that's why he's great. And his the one thing steroids does to you, it helps you train more. I mean, you recover quicker, so you're able to do more training sessions, which makes you better.
Which in jiu-jitsu is key, right? The more you train, the more you can work, the more you can recover, the better it gets.
Yes, exactly. And that's why he's so great. And not to mention, he has John Danaher as his coach.
Oh, yeah.
John Danaher is, I mean, I would vote for him to be president.
Yeah.
The guy is so smart. And he was like a physics professor at Columbia, and then decided to just live in the gym and train athletes.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't own a TV.
Yeah. All he does is jiu-jitsu. That's it.
And if he's not teaching jiu-jitsu, he doesn't even do jiu-jitsu anymore. He can't. He's crippled.
Yeah.
But like he sits there for 10 hours a day and studies tape. Like he's sitting there watching like a judo match from 1935 and like taking tips from it and figuring out how to work it into jiu-jitsu. And he's just this mad scientist with jiu-jitsu. And it was like a match made in heaven with those two, with Gordon and him. And Gordon came in at a time where jiu-jitsu, there was a lot of false narratives going on. There was like, oh, you have to do it this way, and this is the way Elio Gracie did it, so you must do it that way. And there was a lot of ego. And I think John Danaher, because John Danaher was an MMA coach before he started getting into competition jiu-jitsu. He was coaching GSP and Chris Weidman, both who became UFC champions. Then he decided to get into the competition jiu-jitsu and change the game. And said, broke all the rules and made it work.
Find better ways to do the same thing. Right?
He single-handedly elevated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to a level that it's at now.
And I feel that that's something that's coming in, because we spoke about the ADCC Submission Fighting World Championships, right? So this is the Olympics of grappling. It's held every 2 years. I spoke about Mark Robinson, who he won in 2003 off judo and wrestling and sumo. Right, so he muscled his way through. Mark Robinson. Right, South African guy, a beast of a guy. But as you said, Kerr won the championships. There's some notable names in the UFC and fighting world pride that's won all these championships. And then now you've got Craig Jones. Right.
I love Craig.
Now he's come up with a new, because what happens is when you go to ADC, it costs you a shit ton of money. As an athlete, you get nothing. Like their prize money is non-existent.
$10,000.
Right, it's so low. If you think, and you've got to go do it in Abu Dhabi. It's only in Vegas.
In Vegas, it used to be. When I did it, I went to China.
Wow. Yeah, you see, right? and you got to think from an athlete, right? So like training for this is like training for an MMA fight, right? You're preparing for it. There's everything's in line with this. So Craig Jones has come up with his own contest. And his contest, what he's doing is he's giving, I think it's 95% of the prize money goes to the athletes. So the athletes get it. And what I like what he's done is he's challenged them directly. This is very similar to the PGA. You've got the PGA now has a competition from some sheik in Dubai that's challenging him and doing a golf contest. And what happens is, because he's paying more money, he's pulled all of those pros over. And the PGA is screaming and shouting, but you're not paying your guys a fair wage. So what he's done is he's created this contest where he brings in and he pays the guys really well. And he's notably in. So how's your taking? Because I mean, ADCC it was the GOAT of championships, but my opinion is the way Craig Jones is set up his contest is what I feel is going to happen is you're going to see an elevation in jiu-jitsu on a different level.
Yeah, I think so too. I loved that he did it, and I love exactly how he did it. He did it on the same weekend as ADCC in Vegas.
Straight challenge.
See, ADCC got cocky because, like when I did ADCC in 2013, it was in Beijing, China, and there was like 6 people watching in the audience.
Wow.
Like, there was I don't even think they know what jiu-jitsu is in China, but regardless, it wasn't anywhere near as big as it is now. So in 2022, the sport elevated tremendously, and then in 2022 I went to ADCC to watch, and it was at the Thomas and Mack Event Center in Vegas, and it was packed. And it was an awesome time. It was packed. Everyone was having a great time. Athletes were doing great. We hung out with them after. Everything was positive. Well, they got cocky, and they said, "Oh, so many people there. Let's go do it at the T-Mobile Arena." So they decided to do it at the T-Mobile Arena last year. And then Craig Jones is like, fuck this. We're getting paid. So he somehow has an investor.
I think
it's Mark Zuckerberg.
I also think it is
I think it's Mark Zuckerberg.
because he doesn't want to say who it is. But listen to this: if you pitch up at his contest, right, you get $10,000 just for pitching up.
Yep.
Right. If you win, it's $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So what happened was they rented out the Thomas and Mack, and the T-Mobile Arena was ADCC. I had already gotten tickets before CJI was a thing. I got tickets to ADCC. So when I got my tickets, everyone was like, well, which one are we going to go see? And I'm like, well, the tickets for CJI were pretty expensive. And I'm like, I already got ADCC. I'll just go to ADCC, whatever. So I go to ADCC, empty.
Wow.
T-Mobile Arena was probably less than half full.
Yeah, because everybody's going for it to get paid to do what they love, right?
I mean, not the athletes still competed in ADCC, but they had taken a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So a lot of the athletes in ADCC were the second best.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
the second choice, because they took a lot of the killers.
Yeah.
And when that night at CJI, the greatest match in Jiu-Jitsu history happened at CJI. It was Cade Rotolo versus Andrew Tackett. This match was, I don't even care if you don't know Jiu-Jitsu. Watch that match and it'll excite you. It was unbelievable. And it put Andrew Tackett on the mat. We ended up on the map. We ended up having him out to the gym a few months later. A great kid. Kid's freaking 19 or 20 years old. Absolute stud. Beast of a kid. And no, I love Craig Jones. If Craig Jones wasn't a jiu-jitsu guy, he'd be a comedian. Yeah. I don't know if you ever look at his social media.
I watched him when he was on Joe. He was so funny. I love the way he markets.
He made it so fun because this girl, Gabby Garcia, she was like a 5-time ADCC champion. She's bigger than you. She's a giant beast Brazilian girl. And he did a match with her. But like the truth is, like, even though she's big and everything, it's not comparable. A man and a woman grappling.
Yeah, it's not the same
it's not, you know, Craig Jones knew he was winning. But he made it such a spectacle.
Yes.
And like, he was acting like he wants to marry her. Like, he had this whole skit involved with it.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was so funny, man. It was so funny. And then they did the match, and Craig kind of let her get some things, and then he finally submitted her at the end. But, you know, she got paid. Like, she was in jiu-jitsu for her whole life. Never saw any money, but I would imagine Craig paid her really well. Like, she was like crying at the end of it, and like super grateful to Craig, even though they had this fake like beef going, and it was really cool.
And they're starting to, as this grows in, and this is why it's super interesting to me, because one, it like ADCC's been going on for years.
98.
Right? It's been going on for a long time, and no one really knows about it. And now, you know, he comes into this contest, and again, the marketing and the way that he promoted it, all of a sudden becomes fun. And then I think he's changing the format this year, and I think it's going to be teams.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Like, it's going to be insane. So now there's teams coming in, and I'm not sure the exact format, but as the teams go in, the teams compete together. So the teams won. One guy goes in, gets submitted, next guy goes in, they just keep going. And it's whoever stands is the last team standing. So he's raising the elements of what people want to see, and it starts becoming an exciting thing. Because if you've never been to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, just a general contest, it reminds me very much of like CrossFit. Right now, CrossFit, great if you do it. It's not fun to watch.
No,
you know, because everyone's lined up. So you go to these tournaments, and they've got all these sections sitting out, and you've got about 40 of them, and there's everyone going, and there's a ref there, and you're trying to see, and there's people like family and friends, but it's not really a spectator sport. Now it's becoming one, which is where I'm seeing there's going to get the explosion. I mean, UFC already gave Brazilian Jiu Jitsu the name from driving out, so you got more people interested in it. But now what's happening is they're more interested in MMA than jiu-jitsu. Now jiu-jitsu is starting to get that elevation as a standalone sport.
And you could thank Gordon Ryan for that. Actually.
Absolutely.
I mean, Gordon Ryan is like very controversial
he's a
dude.
Superstar though.
Yeah, he's a superstar, but he's also like super controversial. He says outrageous shit and gets a ton of attention online, and everybody wants to see him, whether you want to see him lose or you want to see him win.
He knows how to market himself. He did a great video, which is going to be reminiscent of what we're going to do tonight. The world's strongest man, Thor Bjornsson. Right, I mean, this guy's 6'9", 400 pounds.
Yeah, Thor's
and you watch Gordon Ryan throw him around like a rag doll, like flip him over into the guard. Insane what he could do with him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's toyed.
Why? I've been seeing I don't know a lot about like the different fighting competition and stuff, but the ring is basically, I don't even know if it's called a ring, but it's got like an angle up.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Well, you can't go out of bounds. So every time a normal mat, if the match goes out of bounds, you got to stop it and bring it back in the middle. But when you have that ramp, the fight keeps going. You can't go out unless you throw them up over that ramp. It's like a way to keep the match going without having to stop it and bring it out of bounds. And people can still watch. Like, people are still above it.
They're elevated.
Watching. And it's been great because now people are using that wall to do techniques. Like, Craig Jones had a match with somebody, and one of the first ones in that setup, and he basically, they're on their feet, he drags the guy over to the wall.
Love it.
So the guy posts on the wall.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about jiu-jitsu, so he has like a collar tie on the back of the head, posts on the wall. Craig Jones jumps a triangle because his hand was posted and submits him. And it was like, oh, so now we're kind of using the environment. Yeah, awesome. Which is, in MMA, you utilize the cage. There's a whole art behind cage wrestling.
Yeah.
And so it's changing the game. And I really like it. I wanted to actually put that in my gym.
Yeah.
So
get people used to that. You're going to want people to compete in that contest. That's going to be the new goal, right?
The problem is it takes up too much space.
Yeah.
It's like I'll have like way less mat space. So if I expand down the road, I do want to put that in one of the rooms at least.
Let's take it back. Is if there's a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu schools, right? And we've seen the coin of everyone calls them a Gracie, says I'm a Gracie school. Right, it's become almost a watered-down version because you're not sure what you're going to get. If you've got, like you did, you started in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you worked your way through, and you found your elements of doing what you're passionate about and turning it into a business, which every entrepreneur is what they want to do. Not everyone's capable of doing it. But if you've got a kid out there, he's passionate about this and he's thinking about opening up his own school, what advice would you give him?
If you think about opening up your own school, well, first off, it has nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. I mean, as much as, yes, it's revolved around that.
That's just the product.
Yeah, that's just the product. It could be anything. You do have to have a good product. You have to have a product that people enjoy, that, delivers on its promise.
Yes.
But that's an extremely small part of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's about marketing. It's about sales. Sales is huge.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. You have to understand that everything matters.
Yeah.
Do I have toilet paper in the bathroom? Right? Are my baseboards clean?
Yeah.
Parents look at this stuff.
Yeah.
You have a kid come in your gym and the mother goes and takes a shit in the bathroom and there's no toilet paper?
Oh, yeah.
Say goodbye.
Yeah.
These are the types of things that matter. It seems minuscule, no big deal.
That's a good point.
But to you, it might not be.
Yeah.
And it's really, I think, hard for people to put themselves in the mind of someone else who has different experiences than you, And that's what sales is about.
Yeah.
If I'm an expert at anything, it's jiu-jitsu and sales.
Yes.
Marketing, but sales is huge.
Yeah.
So unless you are in love with that, don't do it.
That is great advice.
Don't do it.
Understand that the jiu-jitsu, as you said, doesn't matter.
No.
It's how you build everything else around it, right?
Exactly. And your purpose has to be on point. Like, why do you want to open a gym? Do you want to do it just to make money, or do you have a bigger, greater goal?
Yeah.
I want to make an impact on this community.
Yes.
I want to die knowing I've made a difference in a positive way in many people's lives. And that's my goal, and it happens to come with money.
Yeah. Which is okay.
I still don't really give a shit about money.
Yeah.
I want to reach as many people with this art that I fell in love with, that changed my life.
Yeah.
And I think it can do the same for others.
But when you have your mindset, as you stated, I don't give a shit about money, and I think this is something me and Kevin talk about. Listen, we know it's important, but it's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's not the reason I get up in the morning, but it's something I need to live a good life to be able to move forward. And with that said, what is the vision for Gracie Braden? You've got that location. Is what's the next step? Where are you taking the business?
Sure. Well, we have Gracie Brandon, we got Gracie Plant City, we got Gracie Hernando, which is up in Spring Hill, Hernando County, and we have Gracie Claremont. So all those gyms are part of my network.
Okay.
So the goal is to expand even more. I would love, I have a ton of students ready to go to the next gym.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working on more gyms opening up. But essentially, man, I just want to change people's lives.
Yeah.
And make an impact on the community. That's pretty much it. I have my online business as well. I sell instructionals online. I need to diversify. It's hard, and this is another more advice to someone that wants to open a gym. Don't make that your only source of income.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a business, this is for all business owners. I would say you want 6 or 7 streams of income.
Yes.
If one's not doing so great, fine. I have 6 more.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
Diversify.
When it comes to money. But like I said, man, I enjoy people. I enjoy talking to people. I love that I get to get up every morning and I go into my coffee shop. I have a coffee shop connected to my gym. I get up in the morning, I go to the coffee shop, I sit and I chat with customers, and I talk to them about jiu-jitsu. I talk to them about life. Yeah. It's a great community that we have, and there's nothing more I'd want to do with my day.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other place I'd rather be. It makes me content.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I thank God every day.
Yes.
For my life. And, I'm a Christian, and God has taken me from this low to this high, man.
And he's been with you all the way.
And he's been with me the whole time, and it's just such a beautiful thing. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
If anything, it's not me, it's God did it for me.
There's the gratitude that comes with it.
And you have to have that gratitude, man.
Yeah.
And you need a higher power in your life.
I want to touch on that because we've spoken about body. The jiu-jitsu speaks for itself. You want to be healthy. You want to have good cardio. You want to have good muscle strength, neurosympathetic control of your body. I can't think of anything that's as effective as jiu-jitsu is to teach you those mechanisms for your body to work really well. We've spoken about your mindset, about how you went from a really dark place, and you found jiu-jitsu, and you kind of dug yourself at the hole. It didn't happen overnight. It's something you really had to work at.
Yes.
Which now has turned you into an entrepreneur who runs his own businesses, who expands them. But again, the main thing is the balance.
Yes.
And that balance is, we've covered abundance. You live in a world, you live in this world in a way where the good things will come as long as you put them out there. The frequency brings the frequency. But let's talk about spirits, because I think especially for men, even if you're Christian, you go to church and you follow, then are you following this on a systematic point where you go, well, I go to church every Sunday, or are you really living that life where you stand up in the morning, you're grateful for where you are, you're grateful for the fact that the sun's shining, I get to live another day, I've got these things in my life. Expand on how you see your spirituality and how that being grateful in the world means to you.
Well, as much as jiu-jitsu helped me get out of a really dark place, it definitely loses its luster. I mean, this thing got me out of a certain level of darkness, but eventually it comes a point where, like, material things and the worldly things lose the luster that they initially gave you. So then you find the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and none of these things really will fulfill you. And I hate to break it to people out there. It's true. None of it will really fulfill your spiritual needs. You must have a relationship with God, and in my case, it's Christ. And I pray. I think prayer is super powerful. I'm grateful. I thank God every day, and this not only do I know that that's real, that I'm actually communicating with my Creator, but it puts you in a positive mindset.
Yes.
You're thanking God for the positive things in your life, even if there's a lot of negative going on around you.
Be thankful.
You're thankful, and there's always hope, and that's what really gives you purpose. What's my real purpose is to spread the message of Christ. That's my real purpose.
Yes.
I have an opportunity to speak to a lot of people every single day. I pray that I have an opportunity to share the message of Christ with them.
Yes.
And if I have that opportunity, great. And God gives it to me.
Yeah.
He gives it to me, man. And I'm super thankful.
How much of, like, we talk about manifestation as well. I think, prayer, and I'm a Christian man as well. Jason and I have had a lot of discussions around God and faith and stuff. But to me, a lot of, like, what I've learned in the past, we'll call it year, manifestation is a really big deal, and believing for what you want, essentially. Like, how much of your reality today is because of your manifestation and beliefs?
It's interesting. I as much as I've been in very dark places, I was in jail, kicked out of high school, kicked out of this, just a nightmare. I never actually thought that I would just be some loser, some drug addict. I never actually accepted that. There was always something in me that said, I don't give a shit what you think, I'm going to make it, And I always strive for that. So essentially I did manifest that, But, you can have all the riches and everything. I ended up with, I made great money, make great money, made great money, beautiful wife. I have 3 amazing children, healthy, wonderful, everything's wonderful. Beautiful, nice cars, the house. And I got all that because that's what I wanted, right? And I got it. And I found myself in a deep depression.
Okay.
But it was like,
something was missing.
It was like, no, not even that. Definitely something was missing. But it was like when you make a goal and then you meet it. Well, now what?
What's next? What's next?
And then also, definitely you start getting this feeling like, well, this wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be.
There you go.
You're like, I got all this stuff and I still have bad feelings. Like this is
nothing changed.
Nothing really changed. As a matter of fact, when you're wealthy, it's scarier. Because you're like,
because you have something to lose.
When you've now created habits around this, and you're used to it,
and people are reliant on you.
I was telling, I have a bunch of friends, and some of them are broke, and I find myself sometimes envying them. Because I have such fond memories of when I was broke, just doing jiu-jitsu and loving it. I didn't care about them. Now, you give me a car without a screen in it, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be like, what is this piece of shit? So, but no, one day, my daughter, she was 6 at the time. We went to Savannah, Georgia. Vacation, whatever. And I was in a bad, just mental place. And my daughter, and I grew up Christian, by the way. I didn't tell you, I grew up in the church as a young little kid up until my teenage years. Once we moved to Pennsylvania, I decided to do drugs instead. Regardless, my daughter comes to me with the Gideon Bible, the Bible that's in every hotel room. And she goes, Daddy, what does this say? And I was like, oh man. Because I had resigned myself to being an atheist. But I didn't want to push it on my kids. I didn't want to push atheism or Christianity or anything.
To give them their own choices.
That's what I wanted to do. It's not that way anymore. I raised them as Christians now, but it was my daughter. What does this say? And I thought about it. I'm like, okay. I knew the gospel. I knew it. So I'm like, I'm going to tell her what it says, and then I'm going to tell her why I don't believe it, and then how she can choose to or not. I told her, I said, our earth was formed by God, and he made human beings, and we fell from grace, and sin entered the world, and we couldn't be in the presence of God anymore, so he sent his son. He came to earth as a human being and died and sacrificed himself so we can all live for eternity in the kingdom of heaven. And it took me longer to say it than that, but that was essentially what I told her. And I'm telling her this. I'm saying Jesus loved us so much that he decided to sacrifice himself on a cross, was brutally murdered on this cross so we can live for eternity. She starts crying. And I was like, whoa, I didn't expect
that reaction.
And then I was like, wait. here's all the reasons why people don't believe this. And I went off on some atheist bullshit where it was like, there's no evidence, there's no proof of this and that and this. And I honestly didn't even know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And around the same, so I kind of let it go, is what it was. And she says, I believe. After I said the thing about atheism, she goes, I don't care, I believe it. And I just thought that was so.
And she was 6 at the time.
She was 6.
So pure faith.
Pure faith, man. And I was just like, wow, I wish I had that. Anyway, I kind of stayed on my mind. I ended up listening to some podcasts with some theologians, and I was learning some stuff about, whoa, maybe I'm not atheist.
Yeah.
Just passing thoughts, One day, I'm sitting in my living room, maybe a week or 2 later. I didn't talk to her about religion or anything since the hotel room incident. She comes, sits in my lap. She puts her arms around me. And mind you, my daughter is not the hugging type.
Yeah.
She's an attitude girl, And she comes and hugs me, and she's like, Daddy, I want you to take me to church. No. I can't say no to her. So I said, all right, I'll take you. Next Sunday, we went to church. And, man, I'm in that room. And they're doing the worship, and it's sort of reminding me of my childhood. And I just was trying to hold back tears, like God was speaking to me.
Yeah.
Man, it was this, I kept getting this message of like, yeah, you strayed from me, and your life turned to shit for a long time, but I was always there.
Yeah.
I've been there the whole time.
Yes.
I thought if there was a God, he abandoned me a long time ago. And it almost put me to my knees.
Yeah.
I felt this just like, come back. Like, I'm still here, come back. And I prayed the prayer that night. I said, I'm back for good.
That's an awesome story.
And yeah.
I can relate. I grew up, somebody's story, but like, I grew up extreme religion, and I feel like religion is what taints a lot of people, especially our age group, right? There's so many people that have been just, like, religion for me is bad news, and hearing how a child can bring your faith back around, like, that's kind of what happened with me, too, with my daughter, like, just recognizing, like, here I grew up with, like, faith and religion, whether I agreed with it or not, I believed in God. But realizing, like, here's this innocent child, and like the way they're used, to help us come back around, right?
It was divine, that's for sure.
It is.
That girl is everything. She's my whole life. And
for sure.
God used her because he knew that this is the only one I'll listen
That's
to.
your path back.
That was the path. So it was cool. Awesome.
Yeah, we really believe, and it's what we try and preach now. And the same thing as you want to help as many people as possible. This is what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to get as many different perspectives out, so people can realize and understand. Because we talk about business owners, and as you said, how many business owners go into a business? Their purpose in the business is happiness. They want, in the end, we all want love and happiness, right? Love, happiness, and peace. And you start this business to build that happiness, to build that peace, and then you lose sight of it because you stop balancing, and marriages fall apart, relationships with children fall apart, health falls apart, your being in touch with your spirituality falls apart. And we always try and allude to people is that you have to be physical in some way or another. You have to. A man that does not use his body to its full potential is not a man. You have to. You've got to use it to your full potential. You have to keep your mind sharp, and you have to keep learning. You have to keep growing. You have to go in and realize that abundance is an internal part of you. And it's got nothing to do with your wealth, and it's got to do with gratitude. Gratitude and being humble. And then your spirituality to us is, it doesn't matter what you believe. We've had multiple discussions in how religion has been twisted by man. But the concept of religion, the concept of God, the concept of consciousness, universe, I don't care what you believe. It's right in here. It's an internal thing. And once you get what you got, you get that touch back to it. Call it meditation, call it prayer. What you're doing is you're speaking to the higher version.
Yeah.
And you're eluding yourself and letting it back in. And once you do that and you find that balance, what you find is that you find peace and happiness.
Oh, yeah.
That is the purpose that I think all men is truly looking for.
Well, I think you find Happiness is a strange word to me. And I think that a lot of people find God and expect nothing but happiness all the time. And I don't think you're going to get that, but I know that you can get a peace that surpasses all understanding and contentment.
Yes.
Are you going to be walking on sunshine every day? No.
Yeah.
I mean, if you I always go back to the Bible. I mean, the apostles were brutally murdered after Jesus rose from the dead.
Yeah.
And they went and preached his word throughout the world and were brutally murdered on crosses and boiled alive.
Yeah.
Horrible things happened.
Brutally murdered today.
Yeah.
Even today in the world, it's happening right now.
It's happening today. And, the story of Paul in jail praising God while he's in chains is phenomenal. Like, it's unbelievable that you can still have peace through all your trials and tribulations. And then on a separate note, you know how many people I know, men that are worth $20 million, $50 million, that are absolutely miserable, whose wives hate them, whose kids don't know them. To me, wealth is time.
Yes.
If you have to create, if you're going to be a business owner, create that business to free yourself from it.
Man, you make such a good point. Like, this past year we had I think it was like 5 people that we knew, whether they were friends or a family friend that passed away right around Christmas to New Year's. One was tragically killed in the head-on car collision, right? And wonderful human being. It's just terrible story. But I went to 2 of these funerals. I went to one of the funerals, and the other one I wasn't able to make, but some of my friends went. This gentleman, from the outside looking in, beautiful wife, beautiful children, business looked like it was thriving, family looked like it was thriving, but was battling some personal demons. Don't know all the details behind that. Out of respect for him, I don't want to go into much of that. It took his own life. Okay. His funeral, it was like a shockwave. Like, he's a guy I played college baseball with, a shockwave amongst this group of like players that we all were there, coaches, etc. People were just like blown away that this guy would do that, right? His funeral was so filled. Just like a flood of people there. The other one I went to was a gentleman that wasn't quite as known. And it was sad when he passed, and he loved God. And there was maybe 30 people at this guy's funeral, but the love that his family had for him was incredible.
Yeah.
And and my friend Chuck, like, he was loved too, so I don't want to make it sound like he wasn't loved. But when I thought about this, I was like, when it's my time, when I expire from this world, do I want to be the guy that like has just a handful of people there, but my family is like devastated by my loss because of how much they loved me and how much they wanted me around? And I can honestly say, like, I wasn't that guy a year ago. And so I'm working through a lot of that, because like I was the guy that was chasing money, chasing the house, chasing things. I did it through the corporate path, realizing like that was not the way to go, and got myself out of shape. And so it was over a year ago. But like my thing is, I think there's a lot of men in this world struggling with that word happiness, because they don't really know what that entails. And I think whether it's through prayer, meditation, whatever, when you wake up each and every day with gratitude that, hey, I'm breathing today. That's huge, man. That's a game changer. And I do the same, where I pray, I say, God, thanks for another day. Right. And that's massive.
It is. And the way you explain it is, the word happiness can be very confusing. Anyone need a break?
That's fine. We're going
okay,
for
cool.
that long, but
because happiness, as you said, can be a very confusing word, because everyone thinks that I must just be happy all the time, which is not the truth. It's the same as fighting for a goal. You hit the goal, and now what's next? It's not the goal, it's the journey, and it's the growth you attain as you do it, and it's going to come with trials and tribulations. So I love the way that you explain that, happiness can be very confusing to people, which is, as you highlighted. So, thank you for the explanation, because that actually puts it into very good context for people.
It's interesting. In jiu-jitsu, They teach people jiu-jitsu, and then they go and they do a competition.
Yeah.
So they're doing jiu-jitsu now under pressure. Everyone's watching. Everyone's judging you, right? You better not lose to this guy. He's a belt level below you. You know, there's this anxiety that comes with it. And what happens is your body or your subconscious is telling you, get out of this situation as fast as possible. So without fail, when they let it get to them, they get into that match and they just do everything wrong. They're not living up to their capabilities at all. You know, a move, say, has 5 steps. They do step 1 and they jump right to step 5 because they want to be out of this situation as fast as possible. You know, and it happens in the gym as well.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
You know, they're like, this is uncomfortable. I need to be out of it.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, enjoy every moment
That's right.
that you're in there on the mat. Like, focus on every little thing that's happening and live in that moment. Be okay with it. You know, be comfortable with that uncomfortability.
My friend Jason, we played college baseball together, and he got the yips. If you're familiar with the yips, basically he forgot how to throw, right? And it ended his baseball days. So because of that, he ended up going on to become a Navy SEAL. And you can look him up. He started a company called Stonewall Solutions, but he's cured the yips, and no one can do it. Nobody has been able to cure this, right? And if you remember Charles Barkley's funky golf swing, it's the yips, right? It's a muscle memory issue. And one of the things that he talks, like he's really resonated with me on a lot of stuff. Just, you know, I've been fortunate and blessed to know this guy. But he would always talk about how baseball or the things that we get to do each and every day is truly, like, if you look at it from I get to do this stuff. It is a gift for you to be able to do this. And if you think about, like, when you play a high level sport, like you're talking about the competition nature and there's so much pressure around that performance, you forget to just realize, like, wow, look what I get to do.
Yeah, that's so
like,
true.
I'm standing in front of a room full of people that all want to watch me in this match. And this is really cool and exciting. And I'm going to just embrace every second of this versus I get so consumed with the result and the pressure associated with everything I'm supposed to do here today. And I got to perform, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. And that's the pressure I feel like that stems from a childhood, even from parents, from school, from all the ways we're upbringing. And if you change that mindset, it's a topic I can go on and on about, but like understanding how gratefulness or gratitude in every opportunity you have is massive in terms of just shifting everything. Yeah, because like you think about the guy that's like, you talked about the 20 millionaire or 50 millionaire that's like miserable, kids hate him, wife hates him, whatever. Well, dude, like, what if you just took a day off and just went and have fun, and then you did it again and again and again and again and again and again? How much more would they like you and be the person that is just enjoy to be around?
Well, so many people that don't have money, it's hard not to. I get it. You think money is what will make you happy.
Yeah, not at all.
I mean, it's just, people can't get around that.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do you find someone who doesn't buy, who wins the lotto? I think the retention of lotto winners is like less than
it's very small.
Because, you know, if you're not used to knowing what money is, it's difficult to understand when you all of a sudden get in and you didn't earn it,
right? And
you didn't come in. And in their particular cases, this is someone who's earned a ton of money, $20 million, $50 million as an entrepreneur and a businessman. But what he's missing is, why did you want to earn that money? Yeah. What was your reason? And I guarantee your reason wasn't to be miserable and rich. Your reason was to have all these people around you who love you. It's a tool. It's a mechanism to improve your life, not to rule your life.
Material things, I mean, lose its luster right away.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you get a brand new car. After a couple weeks, it's like,
not brand new
just
anymore.
Taking me to one place to the other.
And a year later, when the next one comes, you want that one.
Yeah, exactly. And it just never ends.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going that way. And it's like money. I always tell my buddies that are just trying to make it. I'm like, slow down, man. Yeah. Enjoy your life right now, man. Right now is the time. You're going to look back on this and you're going to be like, these were great times in my life. You know, enjoy it now. Stop looking for the next. Constantly looking for the next.
Well, you say this. One of our first episodes, you talked about the past doesn't exist and the future doesn't exist, right?
All you have is right now.
Yeah. So why am I going to stress over things that have yet to occur?
So
you know, life is stressful. There's all kinds of reasons we could all count all the things going wrong in our lives. Like, we could list them out, right? But why not? What's the point? Like, let's focus on the things that are going good.
Yeah.
And be
Focus on the right
grateful
now.
for the right now.
Right, is regardless of where you get it, you get up. No, we're talking about us. You get up, you have a roof over your head, you have food in your stomach, you've got a wife waking up next to you, you guys get kids, you got a good life.
Dude, you'll appreciate this because you know my mess and the journey that I've been on for the past, while. But like today, Sam sent me a text. We had a great start to our day. Sam sent me a text that said, today's going to be a great day. Mm-hmm. I was so fucking happy to see that because it's like, I influence that, right? Like we lead our homes as men.
Yeah.
Like we have a responsibility that each day I wake up in a positive mindset. And one of the things that her feedback to me a long while ago, was like, I'm tired of the anger from you. And I thought it was, I'm a veteran with PTSD and whatever else, because that's real. And I was like, I don't know why I act like this, until I really started to peel back the onion and understand what was going on. And I started diving into this stuff and a lot of the deep work that I've done. And then, here I am today, like truly finding myself like embracing each and every moment and the opportunities I get with my kids. Like my son last night, man, like my kid walks up to me and I've been playing these games with him. I'm learning just like, hey, he likes to hit his sisters. So I'm like, dude, you can't do that. Hit dad, right? So I've been teaching him and I just like hit him every once in a while out of nowhere. And in years ago, I would startle really easy and I'd get angry if somebody startled me. So I've gotten past all that, right? So now, he walks up to me last night and he just whacks me on the back and scares the shit out of me. And I just started dying laughing.
That's funny.
But I'm like, what a great moment to have that with my son. Right?
Exactly that. Be in the moment.
2 years ago, a year ago, I wouldn't have been able to be that guy. Today, just like all the deep work and having gratitude for just the moments to be able to have fun with him. And at first, when he hit me that good, he was like, is dad pissed? Like, what's going on? And I start busting up laughing. I give him a high five and I was like, that was a good one, bro.
Yeah, it was funny. Back when I was kind of when I got out of jail, around that time, I'd started jiu-jitsu and I worked at Pizza Hut, right? And,
all the jobs, right?
Yeah, all the jobs. And I remember I went out with the guys once that worked there, and we were hanging out at the house partying or whatever. I forget what we were doing. I had stopped doing drugs or anything, but I was out with those guys, and I was very discontent. I was always like, what's the next thing? I'm not happy here. What do I got to do next? And I remember this one guy, I can't remember his name, he looked at me and said, why do you always seem like you have a better place to be?
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit,
that's eye-opening.
Yeah. I was like, you're right. What? I'm not enjoying every moment now. I was like, I always was looking like, this isn't cool enough, this isn't good, I got to go to the next place.
That's kind of interesting too, because I feel like, and we've had some conversation around this, like, all right, as an entrepreneur, you've been successful in your life, Jay's been successful, I've been successful, and we're always looking for that next target, and we're never satisfied, we're never settling. And so a lot of people, I think, have this tendency with that quest of where I'm going, we forget to enjoy that journey and the ride, and being present in the moment is really challenging for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah.
It's important. As an entrepreneur, you want to enjoy that process, because when you get to the point you're making a lot of money, and as you said, I miss the days when I had no money. I was running that journey, and you go back, those were good days. So be in the moment, appreciate the days, appreciate what's coming. I'm going to move on to tonight. As I said, we're going to go roll with your black belts. We're going to film this. It's going to be part of the podcast.
I'm a little scared.
Well, listen, I can start with the purple belts.
I know. In all honesty, I'm actually really excited to experience this, because I have nothing but respect for a sport that I've never done, other than just a little bit of stuff in the military. And I just think it'll be a cool and interesting way to showcase your guys and their skill levels.
I'm excited.
Not that I'm any tough competition at all, but I'm gonna have fun.
It's going to be a blast. The rolling is one of the funnest things that I've ever done in my life, and I can't wait to get on the mat. It's just fun. It's all good.
Just don't get hurt.
Right.
Just don't hurt
that's going to be on us, though.
That's what I'm telling you guys.
We're just going there to have fun.
No, I don't plan to. I would know this. My wife and kids are like excited to watch me get beat up. So it'll be fun.
So we're going to move on. For anyone watching, GracieBrandon.com. Go have a look at the website. Make inquiries. Robby's online. We'll post all his Instagram and everything. Everywhere you can find him on social media, we'll post on this. Thank you for coming in. Your insights
was awesome.
are incredible.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep helping kids. I think
doubt.
it's making a difference in the community. I've seen the people in your school. Everyone seems happy. Everyone's content. You have a great community there. We're going to showcase it tonight and show people what it's about. And let's just keep doing that.
Let's do it.
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.